the worst thing ever is when you are waiting for a few days for like a new avocado variety to ripen. You can't wait to taste it, and then you go to cut it open, and gink, it's too hard, and you realize that you've cut open too early, and it's not going to ripen any further at that point. It's a waste. Here are a few little tricks, tips, methods, techniques that I've learned to tell if an avocado is ripe so that that kind of thing doesn't happen. They're different for different types of avocados, but basically I think of avocados as being two kinds, thick-skinned and thin-skinned. Thin skins are a lot easier to tell whether or not they're ripe. Here's a thin-skinned avocado called Mexicola Grande. This is another thin skin. It's just an unnamed variety. This is another unnamed thin-skin variety. And this is a Fuerte, which is also a thin-skinned variety. These are pretty easy to tell whether or not they're ripe because, well, for one thing, whenever they soften or ripen, you can usually see on the side that's been on the table a flat spot. See how there's a bit of a flat spot right there? That's your first indication. But more than that, just giving a feel can usually tell you, since the skin is so thin. Feel up at the top, feel down at the bottom. Both the top and the bottom should be should give to pressure if it's ripe and ready to cut into. Usually that's all it takes for a thin skin. So I will say that this feels soft up there, soft up there. You don't want to put your thumb through it. You kind of want to give it a palm feel. But I'm saying this feels soft. I'm going to cut into it. And I can tell right there that it is ripe and ready to go. So that's for a thin-skinned avocado, like Mexicola Grande. These up here are, they probably look like Hass, right? But they're lambs. And Hass have skin that is kind of in the middle. Not thick, not thin. You can usually tell pretty well if a Hass is ripe just by feeling it. But the skin of lambs is thicker, and it's also less pliable, less flexible. And so I find that lambs are a little harder to tell whether or not they're ripe. Giving a feel test often isn't the best way to do it. So what I do first is I try to pop out the button, and if the button pops out relatively easily, that's a good sign that it's probably ready. But before cutting it open, I do a secondary test to make sure, which is just sticking a toothpick into that button end. And if the avocado is ripe, the toothpick will slide right in. That one is ripe. That one's ready to go. Let me set it to the side. Let me test this one. Button popped out just fine. Where did my toothpick go? I lost my toothpick. There it is. But the toothpick is not sliding in. I could press it in if I pressed hard, but it's not sliding in. So even though the button popped out easily, that is not ready to cut into. Let's cut into this guy and see what it looks like. See if the toothpick test worked. Oh yeah, that lamb, look at that. Lots of oil. This is a very late season lamb. This is like the last day of November. And this is the very tail end of the lamb season. You can see that the seed is already germinated. Super oily, ripe, ready to eat avocado. So that's how I aim to never try to cut into an unripe avocado again, nor wait too long and let an avocado rot on the counter before cutting into it. Maybe that will work for you too. I hope so.